6th of October 2008, Northgate, Brisbane. Heinz of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania announces $1.65 per share for Golden Circle Limited. 288 million Australian dollars in total consideration. Golden Circle was opened in October 1947 by Queensland Premier Ned Hanlon. 900 Queensland pineapple grower shareholders pooled their savings to build the Northgate Cannery on land purchased from the wartime United States Army, Australia's largest farmer-owned fruit and vegetable processor, 61 years of Queensland ownership. By the late 1990s, the grower base had halved to 327. 19th of December, 2008. The Heinz acquisition completes. 97% of shareholders vote in favour. Heinz Chairman William R. Johnson signs on behalf of the Pittsburgh Corporation. In 2026, the Northgate Cannery still runs. Kraft Heinz's only Australian pineapple cannery. The Golden Circle can is still on the Coles shelf. The 900 founding grower shareholders are not. Before we go any further, if you want to keep these stories alive, I created a book with the complete Australian lost factories. The workers, the gates, the Australian made, all gone. The link is on the first line of the description. Back to the story. Chapter 1. Northgate, October 6, 2008. 6th of October, 2008. Golden Circle Limited Boardroom. Northgate, Brisbane. 6 kilometres north of Brisbane Central Business District. The Heinz Company of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the H.J. Heinz Company, ticker HNZ on the New York Stock Exchange, announces an offer of $1.65 per Golden Circle Limited share. Total consideration $288 million. Not $290 million as some sources would later report. $288 million, per the Bloomberg Terminal record and the Heinz corporate announcement. Golden Circle Chairman Philip Cave, also the founder of Anchorage Capital Partners, the Sydney-based Australian private equity firm, recommends acceptance. Anchorage had entered 18 months earlier at 80 cents per share, approximately $35.5 million initial investment for a 35% stake. The Heinz offer at $1.65 represents more than double the Anchorage entry price. More than 4 times the pre-Anchorage Golden Circle share price of around 40 cents. The Golden Circle. Limited shareholders, descendants of the 900 original grower shareholders who bought into the Queensland Pineapple Cooperative in 1947, receive the paperwork. 19th of December 2008. The acquisition completes. Approximately 97.05% of shareholders vote in favour. Heinz Chairman, President and Chief Executive Officer William R. Johnson signs on behalf of the Pittsburgh-based US corporation. 61 years of Queensland farmer ownership dissolved into an American food conglomerate's balance sheet in a single corporate transaction. The signature is the corpse. But this story does not end there, and it does not begin there either. To understand what was killed on the 19th of December 2008, we have to go back 66 years earlier to a wartime airfield at Amberley, Queensland, where the United States 5th Air Force was flying missions to the Pacific and eating Queensland pineapple out of Queensland cans. We have to go back to a Queensland statutory authority established in 1923, the Committee of Direction of Fruit Marketing, that coordinated the wartime supply. We have to go back to the 28th of October 1947, when Queensland Premier Ned Hanlon opened the Northgate Cannery before 1,500 people, including 500 Sunshine Coast pineapple growers who arrived by special train. And we have to walk into any Coles supermarket in Australia today, in 2026, and pick up the Golden Circle can that is still on the shelf, under the same brand name, from the same Northgate address, owned by a corporation headquartered 9,000 miles from Queensland. Chapter 2. Amberley, 1942. 1942. Royal Australian Air Force Base, Amberley, Queensland. The Amberley land had been gazetted for military aviation in 1938. By 1940, the Royal Australian Air Force Base is expanding. By 1942, United States 5th Air Force squadrons are operating out of Amberley, training, refuelling, staging north to the Pacific Theatre. 15th of September 1942. First combat airlift launched from Amberley Field. Australian military aviation history is made at a Queensland airfield 40 kilometres southwest of Brisbane. Feeding the American and Australian troops rotating through Amberley and the Rockhampton, Townsville, Cairns and Atherton depots that would be operational by mid-1943 required food. Not just any food, preserved food, canned food, food that could sit in a Pacific Theatre supply chain for 6 months and still feed a serviceman at the far end. Queensland pineapple, canned. Queensland tropical fruit, preserved. Queensland cordial, bottled. The Committee of Direction of Fruit Marketing, a Queensland statutory authority established in 1923 under the Fruit Marketing Organisation Act, coordinated the wartime supply. By mid-1943, the Committee of Direction Depot network was operational at Rockhampton in central Queensland, Townsville in the north, Cairns on the far north coast, and Atherton on the tableland, feeding the Allied Pacific supply chain from the Sunshine Coast pineapple lines to the North Queensland forward bases. The pineapple growers of the Sunshine Coast, Beerwah, Nambour, Beerburrum, Yandina, Wamuran, Coolum, supplied the raw fruit. Many were descendants of the First World War Beerburrum soldier-settler pineapple blocks, established by the Queensland Government after 1918 to give returned servicemen land and a livelihood. The wartime experience proved something to Queensland pineapple growers. Coordinated marketing worked. Institutional supply chains worked. A statutory farmer marketing authority could scale to national wartime demand. A cooperative cannery could work. A nuance for the record. The wartime pineapple industry was not without strain. The Queensland Agricultural Journal documented wartime fertiliser rationing that constrained pineapple growers through 1943 and 1944. This was not a purely bullish wartime boom. It was a demand-driven strain that revealed the institutional case for a farmer-owned processing capacity, one that Queensland growers would build themselves as soon as the war ended and the shipping lanes reopened. And on the 28th of October 1947, 5 years after the first combat airlift from Amberley Field, and 2 years after the Second World War ended, Queensland Premier Ned Hanlon opened the Northgate Cannery on land that had once been a United States Army depot east of Banyo railway station. Chapter 3. Northgate, 1947. 28th of October 1947. Northgate, Brisbane, Queensland. Premier Ned Hanlon, known to Queenslanders as Ned Hanlon, presides over the cannery opening. 1,500 people attend. 500 Sunshine Coast pineapple growers arrive at Northgate by special train, organised by the Committee of Direction of Fruit Marketing, to bring the grower shareholder base to their new industrial home. The site, former United States Army Depot, land east of Banyo railway station. Purchased by the Committee of Direction of Fruit Marketing during 1946. Reconstruction of wartime American military infrastructure into post-war Queensland agricultural processing capacity. The plant is built on ground where United States Army trucks and Queensland pineapple crates had passed each other in 1942, 1943, 1944. The company name, Queensland Tropical Fruit Products. The brand, Golden Circle. The two are distinct. Queensland Tropical Fruit Products is the corporate legal entity, the operating company registered in Brisbane. Golden Circle is the brand, the green circular logo that will appear on every can, every juice bottle, every cordial bottle produced at Northgate for the next 79 years and counting. The founding structure, farmer-owned cooperative. Over 900 Queensland pineapple grower shareholders. Each grower who joined the Committee of Direction bought shares in the cannery that would process their fruit. Grower savings. Grower land. Grower institutional trust. Initial output, approximately 40,000 tonnes of canned pineapple annually, plus fruit salad, plus chutneys, plus cordials. November 1947. 500 cases of Golden Circle canned pineapple are shipped to Buckingham Palace as an Australian wedding gift to Princess Elizabeth on her marriage to Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. Queensland tropical fruit from Queensland cooperative growers in the pantry of the future Queen, January 1953. A second Golden Circle. Cannery becomes operational at Coongal near Rockhampton, Central Queensland pineapple processing. The Coongal Cannery will operate for 4 years before consolidating all Golden Circle fruit processing back to Northgate in April 1957. The Peak Queensland farmer-owned agricultural processing institution is now operational. Owned by Queensland pineapple growers. Processing Queensland tropical fruit, selling to Australian households under the Golden Circle brand. The Committee of Direction of Fruit Marketing, the 1923 established Queensland statutory authority that had coordinated the wartime supply and purchased the Northgate site, remains the parent body until 1964. In 1964, 17 years after the Northgate opening, the cannery splits from the Committee of Direction of Fruit Marketing under Bernard Flewell Smith and Percival Savage, separating the farmer-owned cannery from its statutory parent body under amendments to the Fruit Marketing Organisation Acts. But for the next 44 years, the Northgate Cannery would remain Australia's largest farmer-owned fruit and vegetable processor. Chapter 4. I Am Work. May 1940, Melbourne. Prime Minister Robert Menzies appoints Essington Lewis Director-General of Munitions. On the wall of Lewis's office at Munitions Headquarters in Melbourne, framed in block capitals, I Am Work, Different Institution. Same wartime industrial mobilisation logic. Golden Circle was not munitions. Golden Circle was not steel. Golden Circle was Queensland tropical fruit, canned in Queensland by Queensland growers under a Queensland statutory authority, but the moral flaw is the same. The wartime industrial mobilisation of Australian agricultural capacity, the Queensland pineapple growers who fed the United States 5th Air Force at Amberley through 1942, 1943, 1944 and 1945 was Essington Lewis's I Am Work translated into Queensland farmer institutional form. The 1923 Committee of Direction framework proved itself during the war. Statutory Farmer Marketing Authority. Coordinated fruit supply. Wartime depot networks at Rockhampton, Townsville, Cairns, Atherton. This was the institutional infrastructure that made the 1947 Northgate Cannery possible. The 900 founding grower shareholders at Northgate opened the cannery on the wartime industrial mobilisation logic. Coordinated marketing had worked in wartime. Coordinated processing would work in peacetime. The institutional trust that had bound Queensland growers to the Committee of Direction across 1923 to 1947 would bind them to the Golden Circle Cooperative across the next 61 years. Read that again. 900 Queensland pineapple growers pooled their savings, their land and their institutional trust in a cooperative fruit cannery in 1947. Feeding the United States 5th Air Force in wartime had proven that Queensland tropical fruit was a strategic Australian agricultural asset. The Northgate Cannery was that asset made permanent. Post-1947. Growth, product range expansion. Beetroot from Queensland, vegetable grower contracts. Mango from North Queensland grower supply. Apricot from Southern Queensland stone fruit operations. Tropical juice from the Sunshine Coast pineapple lines. The Golden Circle brand becomes the Australian household staple. The green circular logo enters every Australian pantry. Golden Circle pineapple pieces. Golden Circle crushed pineapple. Golden Circle beetroot slices. Golden Circle tropical juice. Golden Circle cordial. Every Australian family, from Brisbane to Perth to Hobart, recognises the label. By the late 1990s, Golden Circle is the sole Australian processor for pineapple, approximately 125,000 tonnes annually, and approximately 327 growers, down from the 900 founding shareholders of 1947. The grower base is quietly halving. Structural pressure that will define the next chapter of the Golden Circle story is already visible in the numbers. But the institutional form still holds. The farmer-owned identity is still legally, corporately, financially intact. And on the 28th of October 1992, 45 years to the day after Premier Ned Hanlon opened the Northgate Cannery, Golden Circle Limited became an unlisted public company. The farmer-owned cooperative structure that had defined the institution since 1947 was formally, legally, corporately eroded for the first time. Chapter 5. The Golden Circle. The 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s. Northgate, the Golden Circle, can is on the Australian kitchen shelf. Every Australian family recognises the label, the green circular logo, the Queensland pineapple pieces suspended in tropical juice, the beetroot slices layered in Saturday salad sandwiches, the mango pieces in the fruit cocktail, the apricot halves in the tinned fruit salad. Australia's largest fruit and vegetable processor. Australia's peak farmer-owned food institution. Australian brand. Australian factory. Australian farmer-owned. State. One of the physical motif, the Golden Circle can, first Northgate, produced farmer-owned, Queensland grown, Queensland labelled, Queensland owned. Sent as 500 cases to Buckingham Palace in November 1947, the Australian tropical fruit that reached the pantry of the future Queen through a Queensland farmer cooperative. The product line expansion. Pineapple pieces. Crushed pineapple. Pineapple juice. Tropical juice. Beetroot slices. Diced beetroot. Mango pieces. Apricot halves. Fruit salad. Fruit cocktail. Cordials. Pineapple, lime, orange, tropical. The Golden Circle brand becomes synonymous with Queensland tropical food in the Australian pantry across decades. The corporate structure. 1964 split from the Committee of Direction of Fruit Marketing. 1992 unlisted public company transition. But the shareholder base remains dominantly the Queensland pineapple growers of the Sunshine Coast. Beerwah, Nambour, Wamuran, Yandina, Coolum. The Queensland grower families who had built the cooperative in 1947 still own the shares. Here's the thing. The grower base is quietly halving through the 1970s, 1980s and 1990s, from 900 and more in 1947 to approximately 327 by the late 1990s. Structural pressure is grinding down Queensland pineapple growing. Thai and Filipino canned pineapple imports arrive at Australian ports at 50 to 60% of Australian production cost. Coles and Woolworths private label expansion cuts branded product margins. Australian pineapple hectareage, contracts across the Sunshine Coast. Queensland grower economics come under sustained pressure through the last decades of the 20th century. The Golden Circle Board responds through diversification. Beetroot from expanded Queensland vegetable grower contracts. Mango from northern Queensland orchards. The original juice company acquisition. completed across 2003 to 2005, bringing Griffith New South Wales operations and Mill Park Victoria operations into the Golden Circle portfolio. Non-tropical, non-Queensland product lines added to the traditional pineapple plus beetroot core. The original juice company acquisition would later be judged an unsound investment. The purchase price exceeded the strategic value. The integration proved difficult. The balance sheet took the hit. Peak Queensland farmer-owned agricultural processing had already ended by the mid-1990s. The remaining question through the 2000s was not whether the farmer-owned structure would end. It was who would end it, when, and for how much per share. The 1992 unlisted public company transition. The 2003 to 2005 original juice company acquisition. And the quiet, patient, decade-long halving of the grower shareholder base. The corporate legal transformation that would eventually deliver the Northgate Cannery to a Pittsburgh corporation was already, quietly, legally underway. Chapter 6. The Structural Pressure, 1992 to 2005. The 1990s. Golden Circle Limited. The unlisted public company transition of 1992 does not immediately dilute farmer ownership. The shareholder base is still the pineapple growers of the Sunshine Coast. The corporate legal form has changed, but the ownership composition remains substantially farmer-grower, the retail duopoly. Coles and Woolworths consolidate their Australian supermarket dominance across the 1990s. Private label expansion accelerates. Coles farmland from the 1960s. Coles savings in the 1980s. Woolworths home brand from 1983. Branded Australian food is squeezed on shelf space and on margin. The Golden Circle can compete with the Coles branded pineapple can and the Woolworths branded pineapple can on the same shelf, at a similar price point for the same Australian household purchase. The import pressure. Thai canned pineapple, Filipino canned pineapple, arrives at Australian ports at 50 to 60% of Australian production cost. The retail duopoly negotiates aggressive price benchmarks against imported product. Australian farmer-owned processors are structurally squeezed. The Golden Circle margin narrows every reporting period. The competitor arcs. SPC Ardmona at Shepparton, Victoria, the Victorian fruit processing equivalent, faces the same structural pressure. In 2005, Coca-Cola Amatil acquires SPC Ardmona. Australian fruit processing consolidates under foreign corporate parents. Golden Circle in Queensland and SPC Ardmona in Victoria are the two survivors of Australian farmer adjacent fruit processing. SPC has already surrendered by 2005. Golden Circle has not. Golden Circle Limited responds through diversification, beetroot expansion, mango expansion. The original juice company acquisition across 2003 to 2005. Griffith, New South Wales operations. Mill Park, Victoria operations. Non-tropical, non-Queensland product lines added to the traditional pineapple core. The original juice company acquisition. Weakens the balance sheet. Golden Circle. Limited debt increases. Shareholder value declines. By the mid-2000s, the Golden Circle Limited share value has drifted from around $1 to approximately 40 cents. Grower shareholders watch their inherited equity halve within 5 years. By 2007, Golden Circle Limited is listed on the National Stock Exchange, share price around 40 cents, balance sheet weakened, grower shareholder base fatigued, board under pressure to find a capital solution. The structural collapse of the farmer-owned model has arrived. The 1947 cooperative structure, which had survived the 1964 Committee of Direction split, the 1992 unlisted public company transition, the 1990s import pressure, and the retail duopoly expansion, is now visibly unsustainable in its farmer-controlled form. And in 2007, an Australian private equity firm, Anchorage Capital Partners, Sydney-based, founded that year by Philip Cave, took a 35% stake in Golden Circle Limited at 80 cents per share. The first sale of Golden Circle equity to anyone other than the farmers. Chapter 7. Anchorage, 2007. 2007. Golden Circle Limited Boardroom. Northgate, Brisbane. Anchorage Capital Partners, Sydney-based Australian private equity firm, founded that year by Philip Cave, takes a 35% stake in Golden Circle Limited at 80 cents per share. Initial investment approximately $35.5 million. A critical clarification for the record. Anchorage Capital Partners is Australian, Sydney-based, founded in 2007 by Philip Cave, not a United States private equity firm as one secondary source has erroneously reported. The demutualisation architect of Golden Circle was an Australian financial actor. Read that again. In 2007, an Australian private equity firm bought 35% of Australia's largest farmer-owned fruit and vegetable processor for approximately $35.5 million. 60 years after the 1947 founding. 60 years after 900 Queensland pineapple growers pooled their savings to build the Northgate Cannery, an Australian private equity firm bought controlling influence in the successor institution for less than the peak era annual revenue. Philip Cave. Anchorage founder becomes Golden Circle chairman, the first non-farmer chairman since 1947, the demutualisation architect, the stated logic. Golden Circle Limited requires recapitalisation. The original juice company acquisition has weakened the balance sheet. The retail duopoly and import pressure have squeezed the branded product margins. The farmer shareholder base cannot fund the required capital investment. External capital is required to preserve the enterprise. The counterview, the farmer betrayal case. The 2007 Anchorage entry is the first legal step in dismantling the farmer-owned identity. Before 2007, every Golden Circle Limited shareholder was either a Queensland pineapple grower or the descendant of one. After 2007, an external Australian private equity firm holds 35% and the chair. The farmer-owned identity has been legally, quietly, corporately eroded in a single transaction. September 2007. Coca-Cola Amatil makes a conditional bid for Golden Circle Limited at approximately $1 per share. Pure and natural beverages counterbids at approximately $1.05. Both bids are rejected by the Golden Circle board under Anchorage chairmanship. The rejection logic. Anchorage, as the largest shareholder and chair, has a different exit strategy, not a competitor takeover at a 25% premium to the Anchorage entry price. A strategic corporate acquirer at multiple times the entry price. The Golden Circle board, under Anchorage chairmanship, waits. The waiting works. 13 months. The 80-cent entry price will more than double before the Golden Circle Limited board recommends acceptance of the next offer. And on the 6th of October 2008, 13 months after the Coca-Cola Amatil bid was rejected, the H.J. Heinz Company of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, announced an offer of $1.65 per share. $288 million total, more than 4 times what Anchorage had paid 18 months earlier. Chapter 8. Heinz, 2008. 6th of October 2008, the H.J. Heinz Company, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Heinz Chairman, President and Chief Executive Officer William R. Johnson announces the acquisition. Bid $1.65 per Golden Circle Limited share. Total consideration, $288 million. Not $290 million as some sources report, $288 million per the Bloomberg Terminal record and the Heinz corporate announcement of the 6th of October 2008. William R. Johnson, Chairman, President and Chief Executive Officer of the H.J. Heinz Company. President and Chief Executive Officer since 1998. Chairman added 2000. He will retire from Heinz in 2013 after 15 years leading the corporation. Born Palo Alto, California. University of California, Los Angeles Bachelor of Arts. University of Texas at Austin McCombs School of Business. Master of Business Administration, Class of 1974. Deep Asia-Pacific corporate food industry experience, including significant time in Australian food operations, before becoming Heinz Chief Executive Officer. Not a fraudster, not an asset stripper. A successful United States Food Corporation Chief Executive Officer who oversaw many acquisitions during his 15-year Heinz tenure, of which Golden Circle was one line item. A legally clean corporate transaction executed at a fair market price with board endorsement and shareholder approval, the Golden Circle board recommendation. Chairman Philip Cave, Anchorage founder, recommends acceptance. Anchorage will realise approximately 129% gross internal rate of return on a 6-month hold from the 80-cent entry to the $1.65 exit. The Anchorage economics of the 2007 Golden Circle recapitalisation are exceptional. The shareholder vote. Approximately 97.05% in favour of acceptance. The descendants of the 900 founding grower shareholders of 1947, through 2 generations of Golden Circle limited share transfers and inheritances, vote overwhelmingly to sell to the Pittsburgh Corporation. 19th of December 2008. Acquisition completes. Australian Competition Regulator approval received. Australian Foreign Investment Review Board approval received. The Golden Circle. Limited corporate identity ends. The successor entity within the Australian food processing sector becomes H.J. Heinz Company, Australia Limited. The Heinz Australian subsidiary registered per the H.J. Heinz Company 10K subsidiary schedule. Northgate Cannery becomes a Heinz production facility. The Golden Circle brand becomes a Heinz brand asset, 61 years. From Premier Ned Hanlon's opening speech on the 28th of October, 1947, to the William R. Johnson signature on the 19th of December 2008. 61 years of Queensland farmer ownership, dissolved by 2 corporate signatures. Cave at Anchorage in 2007, Johnson at Heinz in 2008, separated by 14 months. And on the 14th of February 2013, 52 months after William R. Johnson signed the Golden Circle acquisition, Berkshire Hathaway and 3G Capital Partners announced the acquisition of the H.J. Heinz Company itself for $28 billion. Heinz was itself being consolidated. Chapter 9. Berkshire 3G Kraft, 14th of February 2013. Omaha, Nebraska. Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's holding company, and 3G Capital Partners, the Brazilian private equity firm founded by Jorge Paulo Lemann, jointly announced the acquisition of the H.J. Heinz Company. Purchase price: approximately $23.25 billion in equity value per the Berkshire Hathaway 10K filing. $28 billion total enterprise value including debt. At the time, the largest ever transaction in the food industry, per the Heinz Form A-K filing dated the 14th of February 2013, $72.50 per Heinz share. 7th of June 2013, Acquisition completes. William R. Johnson, who had signed the Golden Circle acquisition 4.5 years earlier, retirees from the H.J. Heinz Company. Here's the thing. The Australian farmer-owned cooperative that had opened in 1947 under Premier Ned Hanlon was now, in 2013, a fifth-tier subsidiary of a Brazilian private equity firm and a Nebraskan holding company, Anchorage in 2007, Heinz in 2008, Berkshire and 3G Capital in 2013. Every corporate transaction pushed the Northgate Cannery further from Queensland ownership. State 2 of the physical motif, the Golden Circle, can at the 1990s Australian household peak. Now the property, through 5 layers of corporate control, of a Brazilian and American private equity consortium. And this is where it gets genuinely insane. In 2015, the consolidation continues. On the 2nd of July, 2015, the Kraft Heinz merger completes. Kraft Foods Group, the American processed food giant, merges with the H.J. Heinz Company. The combined entity, the Kraft Heinz Company, NASDAQ listed, ticker KHC. Headquartered Pittsburgh and Chicago, Illinois. Bernardo Hees, 3G Capital partner, Brazilian, former Chief Executive Officer of Burger King, during the 3G Capital ownership of that fast food chain, appointed first Chief Executive Officer of Kraft Heinz. The 3G Capital playbook is now applied at scale. Zero-based budgeting. Every corporate expense must be justified from zero each budget year. Cost-cutting, workforce reduction, facility rationalisation. The 3G Capital operating model, buy at a premium, apply zero-based budgeting to extract cost savings, is now the operating model of the Kraft Heinz Company. And the Northgate Cannery in Brisbane is one of the operating units subject to that playbook. May 2011, an earlier data point that now makes sense. Heinz had already, in 2011, shifted Golden Circle beetroot production to New Zealand. Approximately 160 Northgate jobs cut. But Heinz simultaneously pledged over 20 million Australian dollars to upgrade the Northgate drinks facility. Rationalisation without closure. The beetroot slices are now processed in Auckland. The pineapple juice is still Northgate. The Kraft Heinz consolidation continues this pattern. Cost-cutting, rationalisation. But not closure. The Northgate Cannery, the physical building that Premier Ned Hanlon opened in October 1947, continues operating throughout the Kraft Heinz era. And in 2019, 4 years after the Kraft Heinz merger, the consequences of the 3G Capital zero-based budgeting playbook arrived in a single Kraft Heinz corporate filing to the United States Securities and Exchange Commission. Chapter 10, Zero-Based Budgeting, 2019. 21st of February, 2019. Kraft Heinz Company, Form 8K filing. United States Securities and Exchange Commission. The Kraft Heinz Company announces non-cash impairment charges of approximately 15.4 billion United States dollars, primarily the Kraft and Oscar Mayer trademarks. Full-year net loss of approximately 12.6 billion United States dollars. Bernardo Hees quote per the Kraft Heinz SEC filing, verbatim, "We were overly optimistic on delivering savings that did not materialize by year end. For that, we take full responsibility." Let that number sit for a moment. 15.4 billion United States dollars, written off as trademark impairment in a single SEC filing. The Kraft brand, the Oscar Mayer brand, marked down. Because the 3G Capital zero-based budgeting playbook applied to Kraft Heinz between 2015 and 2019 had gutted brand-building investment across the corporation. June 2019. Bernardo Hees is ousted as Kraft Heinz Chief Executive Officer. Miguel Patricio replaces him. Kraft Heinz stock had lost approximately half its market value under his leadership. The 3G Capital Operating Playbook, applied at Kraft Heinz scale between 2015 and 2019, had visibly failed at the corporate parent level. But Golden Circle continued operating. Northgate Cannery continued running. The Kraft Heinz Australia subsidiary continued making Golden Circle pineapple pieces, tropical juice, cordials at Northgate, and from Auckland, beetroot slices for the Australian supermarket shelves. The Golden Circle brand survived the Kraft Heinz corporate crisis. The Northgate Cannery survived the 3G Capital zero-based budgeting playbook. The Queensland pineapple industry supplying Northgate survived, reduced, but not eliminated. What did not survive was the farmer ownership, the 900 grower shareholders of 1947. The 327 growers of the late 1990s. By 2019, the Golden Circle procurement contracts are with a handful of Queensland pineapple grower operations, from family-owned farms to corporate-scaled producers, supplying a Kraft Heinz production facility under contract. The Queensland farmer-owned empire had already ended 11 years earlier, on the 19th of December 2008. The 2019 impairment was a symptom of the 3G Capital operating model, not the cause of Golden Circle's ownership loss. The cause was the 2007 Anchorage entry and the 2008 Heinz acquisition. And on the 2nd of September 2025, Kraft Heinz announced plans to split the corporation into two separately listed companies. The consolidation cycle appeared to be reversing, but by the 11th of February 2026, the split was paused. The Australian farmer-owned identity that had ended in 2008 was not coming back regardless. Chapter 11. The Can. Walk into any Coles or Woolworths in Australia today, 2026. In the tinned fruit aisle, the Golden Circle pineapple can, green circular label. Queensland tropical pineapple pieces suspended in tropical juice. The standard Golden Circle pineapple can. Beside it, the Golden Circle beetroot slices, processed at Auckland, New Zealand, since May 2011. Golden Circle tropical juice, bottled at Northgate. Golden Circle cordial, bottled at Northgate. Drive north from Brisbane Central Business District, 6 kilometres. Northgate, the Kraft Heinz Golden Circle Cannery. Still operating, still processing over 150,000 tonnes per year of canned pineapple, fruit juices and cordials. Kraft Heinz's only Australian pineapple cannery. The building that Premier Ned Hanlon opened on the 28th of October 1947. That opened before 1,500 people, including 500 Sunshine Coast pineapple growers who arrived by special train, is still standing. Still stamping Golden Circle onto pineapple cans in 2026. State 3 of the physical motif, the 2026 Golden Circle can. Same green circular label, same brand name, same Northgate address on the fine print, different corporate owner. The Kraft Heinz Company Australia, a subsidiary of the NASDAQ-listed Kraft Heinz Company, headquartered in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and Chicago, Illinois. The 900 Queensland pineapple grower shareholders of 1947 are not on the shareholder register. The successor institution is a Kraft Heinz procurement contract. Here's the kicker. In Australia's peak farmer-owned agricultural processing institution, the factory did not close, the brand did not die, the product did not disappear from Australian supermarket shelves. Every element of what Ned Hanlon opened on the 28th of October 1947 still physically exists in 2026. Except one thing, the farmers do not own it. Read that again. The Northgate Cannery still produces Golden Circle canned pineapple in 2026. The Golden Circle brand is still on every Australian supermarket shelf. The Queensland pineapple industry, reduced but not eliminated, still supplies Northgate, but the cooperative structure that made Golden Circle possible no longer exists. Lesson 1. The farmer ownership was the empire. Golden Circle was not defined by its factory. The Northgate Cannery still runs. Golden Circle was not defined by its brand. The Golden Circle label is still on Australian supermarket shelves. Golden Circle was defined by its farmer ownership. 900 Queensland pineapple growers pooled their savings in 1947 to build a cooperative cannery. 327 growers remained by the late 1990s. 0 farmer shareholders remained after the 19th of December 2008. The empire was the ownership. The empire ended when the ownership ended. Everything else is a Kraft Heinz procurement contract. Lesson 2. Corporate structural transitions are the killing mechanism. 1964. Split from Committee of Direction of Fruit Marketing under Bernard Flewell-Smith and Percival Savage. Farmer ownership preserved. 1992. Golden Circle becomes an unlisted public company. Farmer ownership legally eroded. 2007. Anchorage takes 35% at 80 cents. First non-grower shareholder. 2008. Heinz acquires 97% at 1.65 Australian dollars. Farmer ownership eliminated. The killing mechanism is not one event. It is a sequence of corporate transitions across 44 years, each legally clean, board-endorsed, shareholder-approved. Lesson 3. 61 years to sell an empire, 18 years to erase its identity. 28th of October 1947, Premier Ned Hanlon opens Northgate under 900 grower shareholders. 19th of December 2008, Heinz completes the acquisition. 61 years of farmer ownership. In the 18 years from the Anchorage entry in 2007 to the Kraft Heinz split announcement in 2025, the corporate consolidation cascade. Cascade extinguished every recognisable feature of the farmer-owned identity. The label survives, the factory survives, the product survives, the ownership does not. 1923. Committee of Direction established. 1942. US 5th Air Force at Amberley. 1947. Ned Hanlon opens Northgate. 1964. Split from COD. 1992. Unlisted public company. 2007. Anchorage. 2008. Heinz. 2013. Berkshire and 3G Capital. 2015. Kraft Heinz merger. 2019. US $15.4 billion impairment. 2026. Northgate Cannery still runs. Golden Circle can is on every Australian supermarket shelf. 61 years of Queensland farmer-owned agricultural processing. 18 years of corporate consolidation. The can is on the shelf. The farmer is not. She's a beauty.